Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Learn this with Mahesh. Today we'll see how to use a shared VPC and create a Kubernetes cluster in a service project. So let's try to understand what is a host project, what is a service project, all those things, and then create a shared VPC and then try to provision a Kubernetes cluster. So to do this, you need to have an organization node. So if you are using a free tier account, you cannot do this demo which we are going to do in the next 5 minutes. So I have three projects: host project, service project A, service project B. When it comes to host project, when you click on host project, you will have a VPC setup there. And if you see in your service projects, you will not have any VPCs. So that is the meaning of service projects. They will consume the services from your host project. So the VPC, the firewall rule routes, everything will be consumed by this service project. So as such, service projects does not have any network. So that is the important thing. If it does not have any network, you cannot create your virtual machines, you cannot create your Kubernetes cluster, you cannot create your App Engine flexible instances. So that is the base. Now what we'll do is we'll try to share these two subnetworks with those two service projects. So click on shared VPC, click on setup shared VPC, and make sure you are in the host project or the project which has the VPC. So click on save and continue, and once you click on save and continue, you will get a screen where you can show what networks you want to share with what projects. So that will be the next couple of screens. So you wanted to share both the subnets, click on continue, and with which projects you want to share. So we wanted to share it with service project A and service project B, and we wanted to create Kubernetes cluster. For that, the most important thing in the shared VPC is you need to enable this checkbox. Otherwise, you will not be able to create a Kubernetes cluster. All good. Let's click on create. When you click on create, you will get an error message which shows Kubernetes Engine API is not enabled in service project B. What does that indicate? So if you just go to the projects, so I am in service project A, and if you see, Kubernetes Engine API is enabled. But if I go to service project B, it is not enabled. So for you to enable it, for you to use the shared VPC, you need to enable it. So one option is enabling it, or the second option is you may not want to share the network with this project. All good. So I just wanted to show one of the prerequisite is make sure in your service projects you enable the Kubernetes Engine API. That is the whole intent of showing this part. Now click on save. Once you click on save, the shared VPC should be created. Once it is created, it will show the summary. What is the network which has been shared with which project? Once it is done, we should be all good to create our Kubernetes cluster in service project A only, because only that project is currently shared. The network is only shared with that project. You see, these are the two subnetworks, and it has been attached to only service project A. All good. Now what we'll do is we'll go to our service project A and try to create a Kubernetes cluster. Before we click on that, I just wanted to go to VPC and show you what is the change in the screen which happens when you create a shared VPC. You still does not have any network, but there's a new screen which shows where it shows a network shared with this project. So what are the networks shared? So these are the subnetworks which has been shared. So that is the change in the screen which you see. Now let's go and create a Kubernetes cluster. Let's leave everything as default, but the most important thing is you can create Kubernetes cluster either in Singapore or in Mumbai, because the subnetworks shared is only in those regions. So you cannot create it in any other zone. For example, if you just leave it as default US Central, if you click on create, it will throw you an error. The error is no network. That is the thing. So let's try to create it in, let's try with Singapore. Singapore is Asia Southeast 1 hyphen A. So let's create it and let's try to use the latest Kubernetes version. And this time if you see, There's nothing in this project, no network in this project, but there's a network which is shared with this project, that is Subnet Singapore. All good. When you select it, you see there's an error message which shows you need to have a secondary IP address. So at least 2 secondary IP address range you should have. That is what it is indicating. Now what is this? We don't really have any idea. So what you can do is just go to your host project and try to dig into what is the VPC setup all about. Just click on your subnet Singapore and you will see it is having only one primary CIDR range. That's it. But if you go to your Mumbai subnet, you will have a primary IP address or a CIDR range and two CIDR range or two secondary IP address aliases. So using this, you should definitely able to create it. So now from two projects we came to one project, and in one project we had two subnet two zones or two regions to be specific, Mumbai and Singapore. Singapore gets ruled out because we don't have the right secondary IP address. The only region which we have is Mumbai. So let's try to see whether if I change it to Mumbai, whether I'll be able to create a cluster. All good. Mumbai comes up automatically, and you see the CIDR range also comes up, range 2. Anyone you can select. All good. Looks like we are all good to create our instance. Click on create. So your Kubernetes cluster should be getting provision. Once it is provisioned, you should be able to access it. Let me just pause the video. All right, the Kubernetes cluster is created, and you can just click on the cluster to verify whether the network which it is using is a shared VPC only. You see that it is using shared VPC and it is subnet Mumbai. So that's how you can use shared VPC to create a Kubernetes cluster in a service project. Hope the video is helpful. Please let me know in the comment section if you want me to do a video on a specific GCP concept. I'm happy to do that. Thanks for watching.